This video is going to explain what Democratic superdelegates are, their history, and if you stay with me, how to get rid of them. You need a majority of the delegates to win the Democratic nomination at the National Convention in July. The delegates are selected at the state level through primaries and caucuses, but 15% of the approximately 4,770 delegates are superdelegates. The superdelegates are Democratic Party office holders like members of Congress, governors, mayors, and their party leaders like former presidents. And these superdelegates can vote however they want. They are in no way bound to the election results in state primaries. So this means that if one candidate has earned the majority of the pledged delegates, the superdelegates could tip the scales and give the nomination to the other person. So let's go deeper with this topic. Why do superdelegates exist? At the 1968 Democratic National Convention, the party elites nominated Hubert Humphrey, who had won exactly 0 states in the primaries. The party went directly against the will of their voters and subsequently lost the general election. So the party changed the game for the next primary in '72. The McGovern-Fraser Commission created new rules that required transparency in state delegate selection and recommended that delegates be selected based on candidate performance. Basically, let the voters decide. The result? Well, in 1972, the new Open Convention nominated outsider and anti-war Senator George McGovern, who went on to be trounced by President Nixon in the general. Then in 1976, the good voters chose an obscure Governor Jimmy Carter as the nominee. He won that election, but after one term, he was embarrassingly defeated by Governor Ronald Reagan in 1980. So the party officials decided to pump the brakes on this experiment in democracy. No more letting the people choose losing candidates. So through the 1981 Hunt Commission, the party edited the rules again and added in these superdelegates. They did it for 2 main reasons. 1, to prevent future losers or crazy people from being nominated, silly voters. 2, to tip the scales in the case no candidate won a majority of the pledged delegates. The point is, party leaders wanted more control, and they got it. The superdelegates aren't representative of the party demographics. Politico found in 2008 that even though white men accounted for only 28% of the Democratic Party voters, they made up over half of the superdelegates. And these superdelegate votes are weighted much more than normal delegates. This year, PolitiFact worked out the math and found that in New Hampshire, for example, one superdelegate vote had the same weight as 10,000 normal voters. The superdelegates exist explicitly to limit the voice of ordinary voters. Now, you may be thinking at this point, wow, it should be one man, one vote. This seems really undemocratic. And you'd be right. It is not democratic as in democracy, but it is indeed big D democratic as in the party, because the Democratic Party is an independent private organization with no obligations to the little d democracy of letting people vote. If they wanted, they could go back to the way it was done for over 100 years and just let party bosses decide nominees in back rooms with cigars. But we can reform the party from within and get rid of the superdelegates. This is the part where you can get involved. After the divisive 2008 nomination battle between Obama and Clinton, a party committee recommended to the DNC Rules Committee that it bind superdelegates to a candidate based on their vote in their home state. But these recommendations were ignored and haven't been revisited for years, which means it's up to us if we want change. And let me address something right now. I'm aware that many of you out there are writing the superdelegates asking them to vote for the candidate who wins the majority vote in their state. Listen, you are playing checkers, you need to be playing chess. This is bigger than one candidate. The party is independent. It can do what it wants. We have to make them want to change and keep the pressure up. And we need to keep the message clear and inclusive for all party members, regardless of which candidate they support. We want more democracy in the nomination process. There are 2 ways to amend the charter of the Democratic Party. One is through a 2/3 vote of the Democratic National Committee. The other is through a majority vote of the delegates of the National Convention and subsequent majority approval of the National Committee. So, we need to propose an amendment to the charter of the Democratic Party and let it be voted on by all delegates at the convention. And in order to do that, it needs to be placed on the agenda, the so-called call to convention, at the opening of the convention. So write your superdelegates, your Democratic members of Congress, and your governor. Write former presidents. Tell them you want the Democratic National Committee to place this charter amendment of Article 2, Section 4 III on the agenda before or during the opening of the convention, to remove superdelegates or oblige them to vote with the popular vote in their state. The politicians already know this system is undemocratic. Bill Clinton switched his superdelegate vote to Obama in 2008 after Obama won the popular vote. He just said that he'd do it again if a similar situation occurred in 2016. These superdelegates are aware, deep down, that their inflated vote is contrary to the stated values of equality and inclusiveness laid out in the party charter. But why would superdelegates move to take away their own power if no one's pressuring them to? That's where you come in. Write your superdelegates and make this an issue at the Democratic National Convention. Share this video if you agree, and don't forget to subscribe. Later, guys.